welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're here. And for those of you that are new to Happy Hour for Hope, you made a great choice. I hope you love this and I hope you'll come back. I hope you'll tell your family and your friends. I'm told this is the best kept secret on the internet. I have been told that by my subconscious. And so we're so glad you're here. I want to tell you a little bit about Happy Hour for Hope. I started this last June when I was watching TV one morning and the news was about the rising coronavirus cases and the rising unemployment. And I've had health challenges in the past and I've had financial trouble in the past, and I really felt it. And I feel fortunate to be where I am now, but I really, when you've been through those hard times like that, you can really feel it. And I just thought, what can I do? And for whatever reason, this idea of creating an oasis where people could come and be with other people who want to be positive and want to feel hopeful and want to have some fun and get inspired, just an hour together of good stuff. And so that's how Happy Hour for Hope started. We do have a YouTube channel, and we keep a kind of an inventory of past episodes there that you can go and watch anytime. Tonight's episode will be on probably tomorrow morning. So you can go there. And I think we've got a stock of about 10 past episodes. We also have a Facebook group where you can get inspirational everything from articles to movies and poetry, just a good source of good things on the Facebook page. So I want to encourage you to use the chat and ask questions if you would like as we go along. It's a little bit large group to have everybody with their microphones open, but we do want to encourage you to jump in and have conversation and ask questions. We just might kind of have a question in the chat before you jump in. And speaking of chat, I want to thank my dear friend Dan Trometer for helping drive the bus tonight. Thank you, buddy.
Hope the wheels don't fall off.
Well, I actually went all out for you because just for your help tonight, you and Katie are getting an all expense paid weekend for two in Mississauga. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, Mississauga. Come for the maple syrup, stay for the 11 months of winter. Mississauga, we're disgustingly courteous, and when we're not, we apologize. Mississauga, with over 9,000 Tim Hortons to serve you. Mississauga.
Our favorite weekend getaway.
Yes. So let me just give you a little update. We do have a charity element to this gathering, and it's completely voluntary, no pressure whatsoever, but we do support a different charity for every one of these gatherings. They kind of fall into these categories. We have provided support for COVID relief, for racial and social justice, for climate change, and just in general for people needing support. And some of the organizations that we've contributed to are well, all of the organizations actually that we've contributed to are on this list. You might see some that you are familiar with. And if you would like to make a contribution, all you have to do, and by the way, you see the number at the top there. Since last June, when we started this, we've contributed over $6,300 to these organizations. If you'd like to make a contribution, you just go to happyhourhope.com and you'll get to the website. Looks like this. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the website, you'll see these cool little buttons. And those are drinks you can buy. You can buy a soft drink for $5, beer or wine for $10, all the way up to top shelf champagne for $100. And that is how you make your contribution. Isn't that the most clever thing you've ever heard of? I can't believe how clever I am. So that's how you make a contribution. Tonight, the organization that we're contributing to is an organization that Maddie chose, and it is the Conjuring Arts Research Center in Manhattan. The Conjuring Arts Research Center is the world's largest repository of magic books and records. There are over 11,000 records there. Marcia, I don't know if Marcia was in the museum business forever. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
No, I've heard of the Museum of Magic in Marshall, Michigan, and visited that as well, but not the Conjuring Arts site in New York.
Yes, it's a source of lots of research on a lot of different levels for magic. And there is a beautiful charitable function that they have that I'm going to let Maddie tell you about, but I want to introduce Maddie right now. Maddie is one of the finest sleight of hand magicians you'll ever see. He regularly fools magicians because he's invented his own magic that no one has ever seen before or performed before. So he's an innovator, he's an inventor, and he's a master. He fooled Penn and Teller. Maybe some of you had a chance to watch that clip that I put a link out so that you could see that. With every guest that comes to Happy Hour for Hope, I ask them to select a song that they'd like to kind of set the tone for things. And so Maddie has chosen this song. I'd like you to just kind of let this wash over you. I'm just going to play a couple of minutes of this song. I'm just ask you to kind of let this wash over you a little bit to kind of put you in the mood for our time with Maddie. So here we go.
Andrew, if it's playing, we can't hear it.
Not hearing it.
Thought it was the sounds of silence.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, I said that might be why you get that wonderful vacation opportunity, because you can't hear it yet.
Is everybody else hearing it but me? Okay, good.
No. Well, we might not be able to do this. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the sound there. So, Maddie, would you just sing that song for us, please?
Well, I'm going to have to pass on singing this song. But if you want, we can begin or...
Yeah, I think we will. Before we get started, could you just tell us a little bit about the Conjuring Arts Research Center and the kind of that charitable arm?
Yeah, so the Conjuring Arts Research Center is a project from a friend of mine, Bill Kalouche. And years ago, I started going to New York and spending time at the library to help out with the different initiatives that they had to share magic with people. The whole goal is to make magic accessible to people who don't have the money to go out and build an expansive library, basically. And so what it is they have over 15,000, I believe, manuscripts, books, pamphlets, all sorts of literature on magic, and they scan them, digitize them, and put them into a computer so that you can search. It's almost like its own private Google of magic, where you can search and you can find out all about different magicians or maybe a different trick. So that's one of the projects called Ask Alexander. There's tons of projects. We had a free book club where we were creating PDFs of magic books and giving them out to free to people who couldn't afford them. These were really great classic books that aren't necessarily in print these days. So magicians who, who can't spend $200 to buy an out of print book or $500 to buy a book from, an auction, they could just go online and get our copy from it, which I believe was the best copy because I made them, the PDFs. So that was another project, but we had a ton of projects. One of the projects that they run, which is a very wonderful project, is called the Hocus Pocus project. And this is a project where they send magicians to different institutions. These can be inner city schools, these can be hospitals, juvenile detention centers, and the magician will go in and have a session with the group, and they'll perform magic for them. But it's not about performing magic. They teach them magic so they can use those hard skills that they learn to practice the tricks, that they can adapt those hard skills, that discipline, that focus, that drive into other areas of their life. And they release all sorts of literature on, the results of the program, but people getting better grades and people achieving success in different areas in their life because they were able to sit down and learn this, this skill with cards or with whatever else to show a trick to people and really just empower them. Give these people who might not have any power in their regular life. Maybe they're a poor kid who, they don't have any new clothes and nobody, they're kind of shy at school, and all of a sudden they can do a really cool trick and they can make friends. Or somebody who is in the juvenile detention centers, which I've been to, and these kids, which is unbelievable. You see them, they're 13, 14 years old, they're locked up for doing all sorts of stuff, and they're awaiting their trial and stuff. And what they would do with the magicians is teach them some magic. And hopefully the whole hope is that people use this to go into another direction in their life and really just empower them. I believe that magic is something that empowers people. It empowered me. The reason I got into magic was so that I could, have almost a superpower. And, so that's what they do through the program. But there's a ton of programs that they do. Yeah. So I thought it's something that was very close to my heart. And so I thought it would be a great thing for people to find out about and support.
And Dan popped a link to an article about the Hocus Pocus project from the New York Times. It's from 2014, but it's a really great article that will tell you more about that initiative.
Yeah, so, we've had great magicians throughout the years. Doug McKenzie, David Blaine, David Roth, Ricky Smith, just Noah Levine, I believe, just a ton of great magicians who have been involved with the program throughout the years, teaching magic to these groups.
That's awesome. Well, welcome, Mahdi. Thank you so much for being here. We're really grateful that you're here. And I want people to get to know you a little better and learn about you. But I have the feeling that you might want to maybe start things with a little magic experience, a little magical experience.
Yeah, let's see. Let me try something. Let's try it. Why don't we try it with you, Andrew? Do you have a favorite card in the deck, a card that you think, I don't know if I have a full deck, but do you have a favorite card?
It's the Queen of Hearts.
The Queen of Hearts. So look, we'll do this with the Queen of Hearts. And can you see the Queen of Hearts? Everybody can see that? Here's what we'll do with the Queen of Hearts. I'll put it, and you know how many cards are in a deck, right?
52.
52. So if I take your card, the Queen of Hearts, I don't put it exactly in the middle, but I put it about halfway into the middle. How far down would you say that is if you had to estimate? About how far down?
Like how many cards?
Yeah, like a number.
Well, if it's right in the middle, 26.
26. watch as we take it from the 26th position
Okay.
and bring it right to the top. I do nothing. Watch. Now your card, the Queen of Hearts, right back to the top.
Wait.
You can see the Queen of Hearts. Everybody can see it.
Yes.
Look, I'll put it back on top very slowly. And I'll cut it about halfway, not perfectly halfway, but about halfway into the middle.
Yeah.
And remember, we put the other half on top, and you can sort of see it a little bit, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's sticking
We
out,
push
and
it in.
you're pushing it in.
Again, I do nothing. Watch the top as it comes from the middle all the way to the top.
No way.
But I know what you're thinking. Maybe it's possible there's more Queen of Hearts in the deck, but there's not. There's no other Queen of Heart in the deck. We have a Queen of Clubs.
Yeah.
We have a Queen of Spades.
Yeah.
And we have, but let's try to do this one more time. Here's what we'll do, and very quickly. This time you'll choose where it goes, exactly where it goes.
Okay.
Watch. We'll go like this, and you say stop wherever you want, and we'll put it exactly where you want.
Right there. Right there. Yep.
And you can see it. And
Yep.
you know it's not on the bottom of the deck. You know it's not on the top of the deck.
Not there.
I don't know, somewhere in the middle. And I don't know how this would be possible, but watch as we push it in.
Fair and square. All right. Are you moving it?
No, I'm not moving it.
Like magically?
Does it look like I moved it?
No, not physically.
Where was your card?
It was just a little bit more to your left.
But where is it now?
That's a trick question.
You know where it is. Where is it now? It was here, and now where is it?
It has to still be where you put it in. I saw you put it in there.
Oh, but where is it now? You know where it is.
It's on the top.
It's on
Damn
the
it.
top. And do I need to turn over the top card, or you trust me? I can turn it over, or you can trust me. It doesn't matter.
I really want to see it, Maddie.
You want to see it?
Mm-hmm.
Look, watch. On top, exactly the Queen of Hearts. Everyone can see that? Everyone. Here's what we'll do. We'll lose
That's
it
insane. That's
That's
insane.
insane.
We'll lose it in the middle. And do you know why this happens this way? Do me a favor, Andrew. I'll go like this. Whenever you want, you say stop.
Stop.
Here. And look, you said stop here. You could have
Yeah.
said stop anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly the Queen of Hearts.
No way.
If you went further, it would
No
have been
way.
the Three of Hearts. If you went over here, it would have been Three of Diamonds or the Three of Spades.
You're in league with the devil. That's incredible.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
know.
Holy moly.
Very bizarre. Very bizarre.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for
Bravo.
for magicians, that's
Well
known
done.
as the ambitious card, and but that is an ambitious card that we've never seen before, right, Dan?
Yeah. Stunning.
Stunning. Thank you for showing us that. So, tell us a little bit about you, Maddie. Tell us about what was life like, your childhood, your family, challenges you had growing up, happy times, how you discovered magic, the whole story.
Yeah. So I was born in 1989, and when my mom was pregnant with me, and people often ask, how is it that I don't have any hands or feet? When my mother was pregnant with me, we believe there was some sort of complications, and usually when there's complications, the baby dies because that's what happens. The mother has a miscarriage. But with me, when I was cut off from those important things that you need to live, the blood and the oxygen and all the nutrients, my body kept what it was getting for my brain and for my heart, so that I could survive. And then the body's like a system. It decides what it needs and what it doesn't need. And it decided that it didn't need to develop the rest of my limbs, which I thought if I could rewrite that program, I probably would have encoded, hey, once we get this sorted out, give me my hands back. But that is not how it worked. And when I was born, not long after that, my father left our family. So it was my mom, and she was raising me and my brother and sisters. And we were very poor growing up in Toronto, very, very poor. And as I was growing up, I guess more or less everybody who has a childhood, no matter what childhood they had, they sort of just feel it's normal because that's all they know. So even now I look back and I'm like, yeah, this is pretty weird. The stuff that was happening. Back then it was normal, but we lived in a very poor neighborhood, and when you are in that situation, people just develop, I think, just a bad nature. And I'm not trying to say that like poor people are bad or something like that, but when everybody's desperate and coming from that place of desperation instead of abundance, I remember being a kid and being beaten up and robbed and all these horrible things, and for no reason, really no reason. And as I was growing up, I was very nervous and self-conscious. Being physically different, you learn how to do stuff in different ways, and and people are always pointing at you and talking about you. So people, I'd be a little kid at the park, and all the other kids would be like, "Oh, hey, mom," or like, "Hey, there's a guy. Look, he has no heads." Because as we grow up, we have a filter, so people don't say that. But kids scream that stuff. So like, you're a kid and you're hearing that stuff, you become very self-conscious. So I think because of that, I developed a language disorder, which I was so nervous. Like anytime that I said something, I would hesitate to talk. And then after I said it, I would repeat what I said back to myself to make sure that I wasn't making any mistakes. And like I just had a lot of nerves, and just not, I did not enjoy interacting with people. And so that gave me a lot of problems in my life. I was very sad. A lot of the things that I wanted to do when I was growing up, I was told that I could not do it. For example, I wanted to, in music class, I wanted to play the piano, and the teacher took me aside and, Maddie, you have a good brain, but you don't have a good body. So you have to be realistic in the things that you choose so that you're able to succeed. And the teacher, that teacher was trying to protect me and give me good advice, and protect me from the world, I think. But it was just constantly hearing these things of, oh, I want to do this. Oh, I can't do it. Oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, you can't do that. And you just constantly hear them. And you're like, wow, okay, well, what can I do? And nobody knows what you can do. And so you just have a very uncertain vision of the future for yourself, what your life is going to become. And I think that led me to just a very deep depression when I was very young. And I just always wanted to escape from that. I always just saw it like, oh, maybe someday I'm going to escape from all this. And and somehow get to a better place. And you almost play games with yourself. I remember being a kid being like, oh, I'm in grade 3. I have 5 more years at the school, and then, somehow some big change is going to happen in my life. And you just play these games with yourself in order to get through those periods of your life, and you're just trying to make it to other periods. And at that same time, I just had started having these almost fantasies. I would say like just fantasies. So one of my fantasies was about magic. I would see people who did magic, and it would make me feel like, I would see somebody do, magic trick, and I would feel like, wow, this person can do anything. I can do anything. If I become a magician, I can do anything. So as a child, I had these like really crazy fantasies of, becoming a magician and being able to do anything, and just all sorts of fantasies. When I was a kid, I had some surgeries on my legs. So I had a wheelchair, and I couldn't walk, and I had these, this vision of, one day being able to walk and going on these great adventures. So it was almost just escaping to these fantasies, which just kept me going from, this depressing life that I had, to escaping to my imagination, and then figuring out how to make those fantasies real. It's almost, I would say, if you had to summarize my life, it's pretty much just like somebody with severe delusions who worked really hard to bring their delusions into reality.
How did you start then? Do you remember your first magic trick that you learned? And
Yes.
how did you learn it?
Yes and no. This is really weird. A few years ago, I ran into an old teacher of mine when I was, and she told me that, I would always get detention and stuff, that one day I had a detention when I was in the 2nd grade, and I have no memory of doing magic at that point, but she told me during that detention, I went and I did a magic show for all the teachers at the school. I have no memory of this whatsoever, literally zero memory. But what I remember was being very interested in magic and never thinking that I could do it, because, you learn the techniques of magic, and they're either too expensive. They use big boxes like David Copperfield. I can't even afford that now. I could not afford it as a kid. Or they're just very difficult. So for me, it was just something that, I really enjoyed, I wanted to do, but there was no really pathway for it to me. And then when I was about 13 years old, I saw a video of Darren Brown, who's like a mind reader, sort of. He does what they call psychological illusions. He does magic, but in a way that has to do with the mind. And I didn't know anything about mind reading and the stuff that he was doing, but I was just blown away. And the greatest thing is, at the beginning of every episode, he had a disclaimer that said, everything that you see in the show is from magic, misdirection, showmanship, hypnosis, and memory. And he had these like list of things. And I was like, okay, well, I have a brain, I have a mouth, maybe I can figure this stuff out. And he had a list of books that he recommended, and it was all on memory and psychology. So here I am in the 9th grade. I'm a horrible student, basically failing everything pretty much. And I'm skipping my school to go to the library to read these books on psychology and memory, and skip my high school courses to sneak off to the university to go to the psychology classes, because the university is the only place that you could go for a psychology class. It wasn't like it is now, where you could just listen to lectures online, like on YouTube, right? So I'm doing all this stuff and trying to learn it, and my idea is, well, if I just read all the stuff that Darren Brown's recommending, I'll be able to do something with it. And that's how I started. That's the short story.
Yeah. Yeah. I have another question that I'm dying to ask you, but I think it would be great. Could you show us another magical experience?
Yeah. So, well, I'll show you something, and this is before I show it to you, I just want to talk just a little bit briefly more, and then I'll show you something.
Yeah,
But
perfect. Of course.
so I'm learning all this stuff with psychology and memory, and I come up with these effects that I can do for people. For example, I will memorize a whole deck of cards. I'm a kid, and every single card is a character in the movie. So I'll imagine them at a party, and every single time our card gets dealt out, I'm seeing that character that I have connected to that card leave that party. So somebody can take random cards from the middle of a deck and hide it in their pocket. And I don't need to know what the cards are. They can shuffle the whole deck, and then this sounds weird. They'll just deal the cards face up, and I'll be able to just look at it almost like Rain Man and know which cards were not in that deck. And I would come up with all these effects on memory because I didn't have any techniques or stuff. One of the things that I would do is I would memorize license plates. So there was a road. If you'll imagine, there was a road. Let's say this is the gas station, and this side of the deck is my school, and then these cards are the road. And all along the road, there's cars parked. So every single day, as I'm going down this little road to go to my school, I'm walking along and I'm memorizing every single license plate as I'm walking along to school. And I'm keeping it in my memory, and I'm thinking, how can I turn this into a magic trick? And so I'm thinking about it, and then I figure out what I'm going to do. And what I do is I go to somebody, and back then, not many people had cell phones, but it was, and so I'd go to somebody and say, hey, can you pull out your phone? Let's try something. And I just had seen maybe 2 minutes earlier that their friend had left the school, and I knew that they were walking to the gas station so they could buy food. It's the only place that somebody could eat around there. So I'd estimate, okay, they left 2 minutes ago. They're walking down the road. Okay, let's call them. Let's call them right now. And so we'd get them on the phone, and I'd be talking, and I'd say, whatever, let's say the person's name is Sarah. Sarah, I don't know where you are. You could be in class. You could be at home. You could be in the washroom. You could be anywhere. I have no idea where you are, and don't tell me where you are, but wherever you are, stop whatever it is that you're doing, whether you're sitting down, whether you're walking, just stop and do not move. Do not move. And if you're standing, just stay still and reach out and touch the nearest thing to you. And if you can't touch something that's near to you, take a few steps and touch the biggest nearest thing to you. Even if it doesn't belong to you, even if you're not allowed to touch it, don't worry, just touch it. And I knew there's only a few things that that person could touch. Sarah could only touch a tree. She could touch maybe a lamppost, or she could touch a car. So from there, I would narrow it down. I don't know what she's touching, but I have all the license plates. So I'd say, okay, reach your hand up. Whatever you're touching, reach your hand up. Can you feel the top of it? Can you feel the top of it? And if she said no, then I know it's a tree, or if it's a lamppost, it's too high for her to reach the top. If she can reach the top, if she says, yes, I can reach the top, okay. And the top it's weird. You're almost high, you're taller than the top. Yes, I don't know what you're touching, but you're taller than the top. Yeah. Okay. I know she's touching a car, right? And then whatever you're touching, it feels a little cold, but it's almost like it's warm. And I'm feeling it's cold but warm. I don't know what that means. It could be that the color of it is warm. Is that a warm color that whatever it is, it's painted, or the color of it, the material is warm? Yeah, it's warm. Okay, now I'm thinking in my head, okay, it's a warm color. It could be a red, it could be a brown, it could be whatever. And I just narrow it down until I understand which vehicle she's touching. And everything that I remember, maybe there's a map book on the passenger seat or a pair of gloves. I'd remember all these details. So then once I knew which card, I could then say, okay, not which card, not which card. I'm so used to talking about cards. I would be able to reveal that information to her. And then at the end, I would say, this is impossible. Look around you. There's nobody watching you with binoculars. You're completely alone. Yes, yes. Go to the back of the car and just look at the license plate and don't say anything. And by now at the school, we'd have this girl, Sarah, on speaker, and we'd have a crowd around us because, you know, people would see, what is he doing? And I would take out a paper and a pencil and I'd write down the license plate that I had remembered, and I would hide it. And I would say, okay, for the first time, read the license plate out loud. And she'd read it aloud and I'd be holding it up. And by the time she got to the second, you know, number on the license plate, everyone in the school would be freaking out and like, you know, there's no way. And so I'm doing all this stuff and I'm becoming quite successful with it at that school. But for me, there's a disconnect. There's a disconnect because I want to do, you know, I want to do tricks with cards where I find like a queen of hearts or, you know, I'm doing something like that, but I can't do it because I don't have any hands. So when I'm 17 years old, I decided on my 17th birthday, I'm going to learn how to manipulate a deck of cards. And in the beginning, I'm trying to figure out how to shuffle and do all that stuff. I can't shuffle, I can't cut, I can't do anything. So in the beginning, every single night that I'm practicing in my room, the cards are a complete disaster because I'm waiting until everybody in my house is asleep and I'm dropping the cards because I can't, you know, even picking up a few cards is hard for me back then. And a deck is very slippery, I can't do it. So every single morning, the sun is rising in my room. I had been trying to figure out stuff all night, and the cards would be a complete mess. And that is with cards mixed face up and face down. And to show you, to demonstrate what I mean, I'll give them a little shuffle like this, just so you can see that they're mixed. And this is not a perfect mix, but this is just to show you somewhat of how they are. And you can see the cards are mixed face up and to face down, and it's not a perfect mix. Like there's two, it's not a perfect mix, but this is how the cards would be, that condition with cards mixed face up and to face down. And this is the situation the cards would be in every single night until I learned how to cut. I slowly learned how to cut. I learned, you know, all the techniques that magicians learn how to do eventually with the shuffles, the cutting, all the stuff that magicians learn. And you can see the cards are mixed face up, cards mixed face down, cards mix every single direction. And you guys can see the backs on the cards, and you can see even, oh, but you can see in the light, right? When I show the cards, or
yeah,
yes,
glare. But the cards are mixed face up and face down. Every single night, the cards are in these condition because I'm dropping them. I can't do anything with them. So every single night, it's dark. I'm dropping them. Every single morning, the sun rises, and the cards are complete mix. Every single night, the cards are complete mix. Every single night, with the cards mix face up, face down, face up, face down. Every single night. Until one night, I don't know what happened to me, but I believed in magic. And on that night, something wonderful happened. The sun rose and the cards, even though they had just been mixed, face up, face down, face up, face down. Now every single card was face down. Every single card was face down in the entire deck. Every single card. Every single card. And you can see every single card, yes? Every single card. But wait.
Good
Every
God.
single card. But I said in the beginning of this, one of the things that I wanted to do one of the things that I wanted to do was find cards, because that's what magicians do, right? And what was the card that you had before? The Queen of Diamonds?
Queen of Hearts.
The Queen of Hearts, the Queen of Hearts. Look, every single card is now face down except one card, exactly the Queen of Hearts.
Oh.
Every single card, the Queen of Hearts.
Yeah.
Fabulous. Great.
Oh, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, just amazing. Just
Wow.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Incredible.
So, and folks, if you have a question for Maddie, certainly pop it in the in the chat, and we invite you into the conversation. Maddie, one of the things that comes to mind for me is I really appreciate you sharing so transparently all the stuff that you went through in your life. And I'm always curious to know, what was it that made it possible for you to kind of rise above all that?
Mm-hmm.
Incredible resilience, but where did that come from? What was it? Why did you not just kind of succumb and give up or get into drugs or,
to be honest, I think so. I'll tell you a story. So, in the real story, not a card trick. So in real life, so I'm trying to figure out this stuff, and I really am dropping the cards. The cards are really a big mess every single night. And imagine I'm practicing in the dark. I don't want anybody to see me practice. I don't want anybody to see me fail. I don't want anyone to know what I'm doing, because I don't want them to feel sorry for me. Like, oh, here's this poor kid who doesn't have any hands, and he's trying to do magic with cards. And because I already know what they're going to do, they're going to try to protect me from that experience, which is not going to be a successful or productive experience, right? Even me, myself, I didn't think I could do it. And so imagine, if you will, me trying to do this stuff for months and months and months, and not getting really any progress with it at all. Like every single, like imagine spending hours on something every single day and not seeing any progress. Like imagine you go out to practice shooting basketball and you're there for hours a day and you're never, you're not even close to throwing the ball in. And so that's what it was like. And I remember one day waking up and having a horrible feeling. Like, you ever wake up and you don't want to get out of bed and you're just like, can I just pause life? Like, do I have to go out there today? And so I had this feeling of what is it about me that wants this? What is it about me that has to be so different, that has to try to do this thing that nobody thinks that I can do, that I don't think I can do? What is going on that I'm making myself suffer and torturing myself? Because at the same time, this is something that I love. And so I'm putting everything I can into it, and it's just not working. And it's like the most devastating thing. If you put your heart and soul into something, it's not working, and you don't know what to do. And so in that moment, I think people can take one of two decisions. They can either give up or push through. And for me, in that moment, I said, nobody knows what I'm doing. Nobody has to know. Why don't I just put the cards away? Why don't I just put the cards away and put all this stuff away and not think about this? There's other stuff that I'm good at. There's other stuff that I can do in my life. My value in myself does not need to be tied to this. I don't need to be doing this to myself. I've given a good effort. It's not working. And so, that's the decision I made. And it was this enormous feeling of relief like a weight lifted off my shoulders. And that lasted about a day. That lasted about a day. And then it was replaced with this even worse feeling. And the feeling that I had, and I don't know how I knew this, but somehow I knew this, that the person that I had chosen to become in that moment is somebody who was never going to really get what they wanted in their life. And I knew that anytime things were too difficult for me, anytime that there was something really important and I really needed to just go out and get it and do it, I knew that I would not be able to do it, that I was just too weak as a person, and that I was never going to have the things in life that I wanted to have, and I was never going to become the person that I wanted to be in my life. And that was just a scary thing, realizing that. And for me, I just couldn't do that. I just couldn't do it, because if I gave up on this, I would just give up on everything else in my life. So I said to myself in that moment, I don't know where this is going to take me. I don't know the good that's going to come out of it, but that's all I can do. I can just focus and work and concentrate on the good that comes out of it. And that is pretty much what I've been doing since then. Thankfully, I've seen some success. It hasn't been all failure, but that's pretty much just my mentality. Just do the things that you want to do with your life, the things that mean the world to you, and just whatever comes out of it that's good, just cherish it and use that as fuel to keep going. And that's the truth, really. I mean, that's the whole thing.
When you and I first met, there were a few minutes of us getting to know each other, kind of the typical things of small talk, but it didn't take us very long before we were right into talking about philosophy of life. And one of the things that I learned about you is how you've been through all of this for yourself, and yet you've gotten to where you are, and you're also very focused on helping other people. And I know that you've used magic to help other people. Could you tell us? I mean, you told us a little bit about that with the Conjuring Arts, with the project Hocus Pocus, but I know that's very important to you to lift other people up.
Yes. So I want to begin by saying that I think we all have something of value to contribute, and we all have a way of doing that. But I think for me, people have an easier time interfacing with my credibility, I guess you would say, because they look at me and they may not know the story when they see me, but they know that there's a story there. They know that there's been challenges that I've overcome. So from the very beginning, they're a lot more open to listening to what I have to say, because automatically they understand that it has value, which has just been a great thing, because, you know, it allows me to just cut to the heart of things instead of taking a longer route to get there. But in terms of why am I doing what I'm doing? So as I told you, I'm a poor kid from Toronto who never thought he was going to go anywhere or do anything. But I was able to do this stuff because other people made me feel like I could do anything. And they did that through magic. They made me feel, because they were doing things that seemed impossible, they made me feel like I could do the things that I wanted to do in my own life. And for me, that became sort of the prime directive, because I understood, like I'm doing a trick. It's a trick. It's not real magic. I'm sorry to, but it doesn't matter, because when you see it, when you feel a sensation, and that sensation, even if it's for a moment, is, wow, that's impossible. That's amazing, And I want people to feel like heroes when they see my magic. I want people to feel like they can do the impossible. So when they have different challenges or they have different struggles in their life and they think, oh, I can't do that, everybody's telling me I can't do this. I'm not, I'm not smart enough, or I'm not, I don't have what it takes to make it in this or that. I just want them to have sort of like a fire from me, and to understand that, maybe if Maddie could do this, I can do this. I want them to make that link. So that is a lot of what I do in my magic. And it is funny because, growing up without any hands ever since I was a little kid, everybody, always tells you you're inspirational, right? And like, you grow up and you hear this all the time, it almost becomes like a cliche. Like, I remember people, oh, hey, I just want to tell you you're very inspirational. And like, you hear it so many times, you almost brush it off. It's like, okay, thank you. Like, like you don't even have to be doing anything. Like, I'll be at a coffee shop drinking a coffee. Somebody will come up, oh, you're really inspirational. Okay, thank you. Like, it almost becomes like a comical thing. Just because you exist, you're inspiring people. So, but what I remember a few years ago, one of my friends coming to me, and they told me, Maddie, you don't understand this, but you're changing lives here. And as I started doing this stuff more and more, and having more experiences and hearing the feedback from people reaching out to me through letters, through emails, through people who I never even knew, people who saw me at an event, they heard me speaking, or they saw me doing magic, whatever. And they tell me a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, this is what I did. When I saw you, I didn't think I could do this. This is what I did because I saw you. I was motivated, I was inspired. And even more powerful than that, I mean, that stuff is amazing to me, but also the people telling me things that they didn't do because they saw me, people who were in despair, who, just thought that nothing in their life is going to be working, and maybe they shouldn't even continue living life. And when you have those people reach out to you and tell you those stories, it really makes you understand that what you're doing has an impact, and to keep that in mind in how you're designing what you're doing, so that you can have more of an impact, and that it can be as positive as possible, so that people can really be transformed by it. For me, it's all about just giving people power. It's not about me. I don't have any powers. It's about giving people the power. Magic gave me power, and I just tried to bring that into the world and give it to people.
I love that so much, because that's that's how I and my colleagues, and some of them are here, John and Dan are here with us, and that's very much the way we feel about magic, is that it's not about the magician. It's that we are helping people realize that maybe what they think is impossible might be possible.
I'll go further than that. Because it's weird. As I grew older and I had more experience with this, I didn't think, oh, it could be possible. Now I just think, yeah, it is possible. I don't care how crazy the idea is. Like, I'm pretty crazy in terms of the ideas that I've brought to life and the things that I've done. And I'll tell you one of the other things that I've done. So I told you in the beginning, this dream that I had of playing the piano. A few years ago, one of my friends asked me, what's a dream that you have? You know, you make these dreams come true for all these other people. What's a dream that you have that you've never been able to accomplish that, you know, I don't know, somewhere in the back of your mind? And I told my friend this thing, like, you know, I always wanted to play piano when I was a little kid, and I you know, I just never pursued it because I didn't think it was possible. But maybe, you know, I don't know, maybe there's something I could do with it. And I had this dream. I remember sleeping at night and having this wild dream of me playing the piano. And so me and my friend had that conversation. Fast forward a few years, he calls me and he says, "Hey, Mahdi, do you want to come to China? We're doing this show, and you know, I want you to do magic in this show." And he's like a Broadway producer. He does, you know, different. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna go there and do magic. I get to China, get to Shanghai, and I think he's gonna bring me to the hotel, and you know, I'm gonna have a rest. He takes me to the Shanghai conservatory where all the, you know, people learn how to play music at the high level. And I'm thinking, okay, what are we doing here? You know, and he walks me into this room and there's a piano there. And he said, you know, this dream that you had of this song that you were going to play in a show? I said, yeah, I remember. And he's like, that's what you're going to do in the show. And I'm looking at him like he's crazy, right? Like, because I was like, I can't play the piano. So what he did is he recomposed, he got these people, they recomposed the music so that I could play it. Because sometimes when you're playing the piano, you know, people have 10 fingers. Technically, you could be hitting 10 keys all at once, but usually you're not. Usually you're hitting one key at a time, or two keys, or 3 or 4 keys at a time, maximum under most circumstances. So they recomposed the song, just removing some of the notes so that I could play it, always, you know, playing maximum 2 keys at a time. And so I sit down and I don't have any of the muscle memory, anything. And so the first day, you know, I'm trying to practice. I can't get, you know, not even the basics. And so, and, you know, he tells me, don't worry, you know, if you can't learn it, it's fine. We're just going to pretend you're playing it in the show. And then that really bothered me because I'm like, I didn't come to China to pretend to play piano in a show. Like, if I'm here, I'm going to play the piano, right? So I become like obsessed. And so for the next few weeks, I'm literally sitting, I didn't see anything in China other than a piano. I literally just sat in front of the piano all day and night. And I practiced and practiced and practiced. I practiced so much that my arms started to bleed. And so they had to put bandages on me. And they said, we've never seen anybody practice so much. And I said, well, I really want to do it. And to make a long story short, we get to the show, and we were doing these shows in these arenas. There was over 10,000 people in the audience. And so I perform magic, and, you know, I do my magic and everything. And then my friend's playing the piano while I'm doing magic. And then at the end, I stand up and I tell them every single dream in my life I've been able to accomplish through magic. Every single dream but one dream, and that dream is to play the piano. And I tell them the story about how I always wanted to play the piano. But tonight is a night about making dreams come true. And my friend stops playing the piano. I walk over to the piano and I just take over in the song, and I start playing it. And I play the song, and it's a beautiful, strong moment. And for me, that was magic. And for the audience too, when we talked to the people after the show, the people had the sensation that they would see after a really good magic trick or a really good illusion, because what they're seeing is impossible, but they're seeing it and it's real and it's right in front of them. So you have this very powerful emotion. And so for me, for me, that is a very special moment. But to go back to what we were talking about, about that whole idea of we're trying to inspire somebody to do something because it may be possible. I don't know if it may be possible. I think everything is possible. I think if you really just are crazy enough to commit and to push through, I think pretty much you can do anything. And I mean that because I've had that experience of not even thinking, certain things were possible and just committing and going, and it worked out. So hopefully it keeps working out.
Incredible.
I'm so bad. I've been missing all these comments. I have to go back.
Well, we did have a question from Frederick, and he asked what role your family had, positive or negative, on your experience and your drive to follow your path.
I think they always supported me, but I think for magicians, and magicians will understand this, is your family likes that you do magic, but they don't want you to become a magician. Because magician is, and I'll say this for anybody thinking about becoming a magician, it's a tough job and it's not always a fun job. It can be, it can be a very hard thing to be. And it's like that for anybody in entertainment, whether you're a musician, whether you're an actor, whether you're whatever, it's tough. But so they always wanted me to go to school and to do my studies and stuff. And, but always they were very proud of me whenever, I had some sort of moment of success or something. They were very happy to share that. But I will say generally to anybody, one of the funny things you realize in life is it doesn't really matter what you do. Nobody really cares or believes that you're going to make it. But as soon as you do make it, everybody just pretends that they've been there the whole time and they're on your team. Like everybody wants to be friends with the winner, right? Everybody wants to be like, oh yeah, I remember, like I'll have people who, I never even talked to about my magic. Yeah, I remember supporting you from the very beginning, the day one. I was there. It's like, no, you weren't. But I'm not going to argue with you about this. But I think that's like anybody who makes it in anything, right?
Yeah, can I borrow $10, Maddie? Well, we're into overtime. So thank you all for staying with us. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want to go. Would you grace us with one more piece, Maddie? I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're supposed to be such a big deal. I mean,
yeah, I can, but let's do this. Because I know that some people have questions, because I can read, there's more questions. But why don't we answer some of these questions, because I don't want to leave people hanging. So why don't we go through some of the last questions, and then we can maybe, what do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, let me look through here. What was that? Just lots of comments here, Maddie, about people feeling so inspired. And
another question is, what's another dream that you have?
Okay, so I think better than ending on a magic trick, I'll end on this because it's, I think, better than a magic trick. So as I was saying in the beginning, when I was a kid, I had a lot of surgeries and stuff growing up, and I had a wheelchair, and I had this dream of going on these adventures and doing these amazing things. And I remember being a teenager when I was getting into magic, seeing all these different people, David Blaine and Darren Brown, and the different stuff that they were doing, and thinking, wow, I want to do something like that, but I want to do it in my own way. And so I really thought about it. And for me, my idea that I had is, and just the image that I had in my mind was I'm going to walk across America without any feet. And for me, that was just a very beautiful image, and that was pure magic. But it was also something that could be real and that I could share with people. So that is another dream that I have, something that's very important to me, and pretty much everybody who knows about it thinks I'm crazy. But that is what I'm working on making a reality, and to share that with people. And the whole goal is to not only share an incredible journey with them, but really just give them something that they can keep with them for the rest of their life, and just be inspired by it. And I just, for me, that's just a very special thing. So that's a dream that I have. And to me, that's, I don't know, that's more interesting than doing a magic trick.
It's a cliffhanger.
How can we help with that?
Well, I'll give you my bank details. No, no, I think technically, so realistically, so I do want to document it. So I am looking for a director, and the way that it would work is I would do the journey unsupported. So that means there's no, support vehicle where I'm sleeping at night. I'm doing it completely for real. Where I'm not being driven from city to, I'm doing it completely for real, but somebody would be, like a director would be in a vehicle, and they would be documenting it and, filming, when I stop and I meet people and I'm doing magic for people and they're letting me stay at their house or whatever. That's all documented. And that is something that has some sort of expense to it, or so I'm told. I'm not too sure how these things work, but that is what, that's not really my area, but that's all stuff that I'm trying to figure out. And, also how to get that in front of people and how that's going to look like as a finished piece of content for people, whether it's going to be a book, but whether it's going to be a film or a TV show or whatever, that those details need to be worked out. So I don't know how anybody can help, but if anybody has any ideas or whatever, I'm always happy to hear everything.
I have one thought about that, Maddie, not to get into problem solving here, but some of the people that are on this call are part of a community that Fabienne and I are part of, and Denise, and Stan had to leave, but he's the founder. It's the Association, or Mary's also a member, the Association for Managers of Innovation. And it's a kind of a think tank of people that are amazing at solving problems. And so this might be we might have an opportunity for that group to engage in figuring it out. I mean, the first thing that strikes me is while you're on the road, you won't be working. So
well,
like there are expenses, and then there's the loss of income. So
yeah, but I probably won't be paying rent.
See,
Brilliant.
Look at that thinking.
I'll be technically homeless for the duration of.
Look at that thinking. Beautiful. I love it. Well, friends, we are over time. Maddie, thank you, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone.
And I just want to say one more time, a little bit of a plug for making a contribution to Project Hocus Pocus through the Conjuring Arts Research Center at happyhourhope.com. I want to tell you about the April gathering of Happy Hour for Hope. My my special guest is Tazreen Kamisa, and she is the woman at the center of this picture. Tazreen's brother, Tariq, was a 20-year-old college student, and he was gunned down delivering pizzas by a 14-year-old who had been given that assignment as part of a gang initiation. And the 14-year-old boy that shot him was named Tony Hicks. Tony went to prison, and 5 years later, Tazreen and Tariq's father, who is on the right side of this picture, decided, based on his spiritual beliefs, that he needed to forgive Tony. And so he went to prison and visited Tony. And after 15 years after Tariq's murder, Tazreen went to prison and forgave Tony. That's Tony in the middle of the picture there. And Tony's grandfather is the person on the left. They now consider themselves family, and they have a deep relationship. Tazreen founded the Tariq Kamisa Foundation, and she's going to be my guest on April 8th. And we're going to focus a lot of that conversation on how exactly do you heal when you've had that deep a wound? How is it possible? And I just think in the times that we're living in with so much division, and it seems so impossible for people to be able to interact in positive and productive ways. I think Tazreen will have a story for us. So thank you all so much for being part of this. Bless your hearts. One day we'll do this live. We'll have the Happy Hour for Hope Festival. It'll be a drunken brawl. Maddie, once again, thank you so much.
But I might invite everybody to unmute and share your thanks and goodbyes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
See you next month. Make sure you invite lots of people next time.
On it.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, Vic, from Australia.
I think you just have to get this in.